What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Django tutorial. In this tutorial, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be creating a contact page, and the way that we're going to do it is by passing information from our Python file to our HTML file using Django variables and some Django logic. So the idea here is on our home page, we showed how you can make a really basic home page, and this information here is all included via HTML, but we haven't actually talked about how you could take information from a Python file and pass that information to your HTML and then finally on to your user who's actually viewing your website. So that's what we're going to be talking about here, and we're going to be making this contact page. So the home page, really basic. Contact will be a little more complex, and then blog will be obviously much more dynamic. So let's go ahead and get started. In this example, we're actually going to pretty much be hard coding the variables that we're going to pass through, but later on you can envision how you might connect with maybe MySQL, pull some information from the database, and take that information and pass it on to the template. Let's get started. So first of all, we're going to be building a contact page. So is the contact page, should it be its own app, or should it just be part of maybe the personal page? Well, if it was going to be like a contact page where maybe you had like a contact form for the user to fill out and all this kind of stuff, it probably should be its own app. In our case, it's just going to have some information like, hey, if you want to contact me, here's my email. Okay, so in that case, really, this just is part of the personal app. So the first thing that we need to do is not start an app and install it. We need to first access the views, probably the views.py and the urls.py. So first, let's move this aside, and let's open up, we'll go into views for now. So we'll go my site, oops, not my site, we'll go into personal, and then views, and let's edit that. And right now we have a view for the index request basically, and now what we're going to do is for a contact request. So in this case, we're going to define contact. We still pass request as usual, and then in here we're going to return render, and then we're going to return obviously the request because we have to, and then we're going to return a personal and then slash, and instead of any of these other templates that exist, basic.html. So my thinking here with having a basic page is a lot of times with a website, you're going to have a page that returns mainly just some text, maybe an image, but it's just a very, very simple page. So something like a contact page, something like a technology page, something like an about me page, okay, or about, about us, okay. In this case, the whole website's about us, but these are just examples. These pages are very simple, so why would you have a specific HTML page for each of these? That's silly. So we have a basic HTML page, and what this page is just like all the others, only it takes parameters or a variable that is the content. So for example, now we're going to pass this dictionary. So as I've said, render takes basically 3 parameters. First is request, you got to have it. What you're going to render, which is the HTML file, you really got to have it. And then finally, an optional dictionary. So in the dictionary, we can store things. So for example, we can store something under the name of content. So content is the key of the dictionary. If you're not familiar with dictionaries, I do have a Python Basics tutorial on dictionaries. You can go to pythonprogram.net, go to the dashboard, search for dictionaries, and boom, Python dictionaries. So content is the key. The dictionary, or the value, will be a list. And the list will just be, if you would like to contact me, please email me. And then we'll just put the email, hskinsley@gmail.com. Okay? So there's that, and then that's everything. So right now, we're just going to basically pass one thing. So in our basic.html, because we're passing this, we can reference content, and the value of content is the value in the dictionary of content. So it'll be a list of 2 strings. Okay, so we've got that. The next thing that we want to go ahead and do is create the basic.html. So we're going to save views, leave views, go into templates, personal. We don't have a basic.html, so let's go ahead and copy home, call it basic and edit that. And in here again, this file will indeed extend header.html. It does not need to include anything, and we'll leave that paragraph tag alone. So this file is, as I said, is going to just display basic information from that content key of the dictionary. So that content key is a list of strings that we want to show. So we know it's strings, and we know we need to iterate through that list. We can iterate with Jinja, and then obviously we can display the strings with Jinja as a variable, which we haven't shown actual variables. I've shown you how to do it though. So here we'll actually do it. So what we're going to say is we know we're getting content. So what we can say is, starting with some logic, we'll tab it over just so it's nice and clean. For C in content, so we're passing that dictionary through, so that dictionary just comes to this HTML file, and then we can begin referencing it like this. So for C in content, what we want to do, and maybe we wouldn't want to call it content now that I see it'll work. It's just conflicting sort of with this, but it's actually not going to conflict with block content. But anyway, you may want to call it something else, but we'll leave content for now. It'll work fine. So in Jinja, you start a for loop like this, but unlike Python, like HTML is blind to spacing and white space. So, so you have to close off for loops. So end for. The same is true. You can also have if statements. You can have, if, I don't know, if you're looking for a variable, you could have something like this. So like we could cut this. So if C equals hi, okay, or something like this, you can have that. And then later on you could reference C, and then you always have to end the statement. So this would be end if. There's also else and all this kind of stuff, but we'll get there maybe at some point. So for C in content, what do we want to do? Well, in this case, we just want to print it out. So, or have it in paragraph form. So we'll have paragraph tags, and then we just reference C, okay, the variable C. And that's it. That's all we need here. So we'll close it all off like that, save basic.html, and we're good there. So at this point, are we ready to push live? No. We don't have anything that leads us to the contact page, right? So we still have to edit the urls.py file. So we're going to come over there to personal urls.py. We'll edit that. And we see we've got these URL patterns. If it starts and ends immediately, it's the index. So then we're going to add a new URL, paste, and this time that URL would actually be it starts, and then it is contact /. Instead of views.index, it would be views.contact, and the namespace for this one would be contact. So, right, that looks all good, right? We've already done the main urls.py, so we lead to this one, and if it's nothing, it's or basically if it starts and ends, it goes to here, and then if it has contact in it, or it starts with contact then /, it is we want to return contact. And you could even, close off contact possibly here. But we'll just go with that for now. So we'll save that. And now, in theory, we're ready, but as you'll see, we're actually going to wind up with a little bit of a problem. So we'll open back up our My Site. We don't actually have to, we don't have to change anything actually at this point. So we'll come over here to our website. Let's refresh, make sure everything works, and then we'll click on Contact. And it turns out we get a 404. Now, a couple of things will happen. First of all, we can look at the 404 error on our website, and we can see, and this is only going to be the case if debug is set to true, okay, which you can see here. When you push this website live, you will want debug to be equal to false. You only want to debug when you're really like developing. You should never have debug equals true on like a live production website because it can cause problems. So, in our error, we can see what Django attempted. So Django attempted, basically tried to read the URL and asked the question, does this URL start and begin with admin, or does this URL start and then end? So what is this list from? The list is coming from the main urls.py file. So let's move this over and move this over. And we can come to that main My Site and then urls.py here, edit that and look at that. And sure enough, of course, that's what's happening. So what's actually happening here is it is only looking if the starting URL either starts with admin/ or it starts and it ends. So contact/ is not either of those, so it never gets asked or sent to personal.urls to further see about any other URLs like our contact/. Also, we can come over to this error here, and you can even see that warnings, your URL pattern $$ uses an include with regex ending with a $. What this is telling you is you've got a $sign here, yet you're including another URLs file that would require there to not be a $sign there. And what Django is telling you is literally remove the $sign to avoid problems including URLs. So we can move this aside and literally follow its direction, remove that $sign, hit save, come back over to your website. Now you're in /contact/, refresh. Sure enough, everything worked. And if we did /contact/, let's do like this here, you'll see that that works, right? And it'll continue returning to contact. Why is it doing that? Because we never actually finished that URL. So for example, we can come to my site, personal, and then urls.py. And then you could actually close off that. So you could say, okay, at this point, $, save, come back over here. That worked a second ago, run it again. Now it does not work. And we can see, okay, now what URLs did Django attempt? It attempted start admin, start, and then start and finish for the index, start, which is, so like this first one, right? Let me make it bigger. This caret is coming from that original urls.py. So this is the first regular expression it attempted. That was a success. Then it attempted this one, right? Start and end. Failure. Then it did this one. Start. Yep. Start contact / $ as an end. No. Failure. Okay. So that's how it's going through. And so you can always read these and kind of see what Django at least attempted, and then you can start to kind of debug from there, and you can see exactly in what order did it attempt to do things. So that's pretty cool. So anyways, that's that. And as you might be able to guess, what's kind of neat about these regular expressions is you can begin to make some pretty crazy URL patterns that have never been able to be done in the past when like the URL path was actually exactly the path on the server. So you could only have paths that were like legitimate operating system paths. Whereas with Django, you can have some pretty cool, hacky looking paths that are just neat to have. And you can have various symbols and stuff like that that you just wouldn't have been able to have in the past. Anyway, so that's our example of building our contact page. Pretty simple, just like the home page, but we actually learned how we can pass variables and even do a little bit of Django logic with our for loop as an example there, and then using the content as a variable to just put out to the screen. So there are some basics, and now as we continue on in the next tutorial, what we're going to be talking about is the blog. Now the blog is really where, like, if you think you've seen the cool stuff about Django up to this point, you haven't seen nothing yet. So blog is going to show us the true magic of Django, because so far we really haven't made use of models. I haven't shown you the admin page, I suppose, or administration and all that, which is actually really impressive for Django. Maybe one of the best selling points of it, if you ask me. And even the models.py, as you'll see. Anyway, so that's what you guys have to look forward to. If you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support and the subscriptions. And until next time.